Hello students, today we will learn how to translate a sentence into math symbols, and this will help you for your RCA 104. Let's look at some examples. Let's say that the sentence starts with what amount of cars blah blah blah. In that case, we can represent the amount of cars with a variable, which is a letter, any letter that you like written in lowercase. Many times we use X, but you could use Y, Z, A, etc. It is very important though to remember that you have to be very careful when you choose your variables. Look at these variables, O, L, Z, B. These variables look like numbers. So when you use these variables, you have to be careful and make sure to make them look like variables, like letters. So for instance, the way I would write O is like this, so I know it's not a 0. For an L, I would go like this to make sure it looks like an L and not like a 1. For Z, it looks like a 2. So we would make sure to go like this or like this. Then for B, just make a little hook, and now it doesn't look like a 6 anymore. There is one more variable that could create problems. Is variable t. Variable t could look like a plus sign. So when you want to use variable t, make sure you do something like this. You know, always adding a hook solves the problem in many cases. Another example is this. If the sentence has something like what numbers, in that case, it's the same as example number 1. You could use any variable that you want. C, E, F. Usually we use X. So we want to make sure this is not the time symbol. The time symbol would be just something like this. Or in algebra, we just used a dot that is raised so that we know it's not an X. Example number 3. Let's read the sentence. What number decreased by -4 is equal to -6? Okay, so here we go. For what number, I'm going to choose a variable for that. Let's say Y. Decreased. Decreased is the opposite of increased. Increase means plus. Decrease means take away. Decreased by how much? By -4. Is equal. Every time you see is equal to, we'll just use the equal symbol, and then -6 is -6. So putting it all together, the answer will be Y minus -4 minus -4 is equal to -6. Now, as you know, when we have two symbols like this next to each other, we use parentheses. Example number 4. What numbers are less than 2? If your answer is 1, because 1 is less than 2, 0, because 0 is less than 2, -1, because -1 is less than 2, that's not what they're asking. Remember that we're talking about translation. So how do we translate this sentence into symbols and numbers? And even my turtle, who's doing yoga right now, knows this. What numbers? Remember that when we use what numbers, we have to choose a variable. Let's say Y. Our less than is this symbol, 2. So we want, our answer will be this. The numbers that are less than 2. Why is this the answer? Because they're asking you to translate. Here's another example. Translate the following. The product of what number and 6 is 18. So we first need to know what the word product means. Product means multiplication. So we have times. I'm going to use parentheses for times. We're multiplying two things. So we're multiplying what number. We don't know what number. So for what number, I'm going to use y, and 6 is 18. Is, every time you see is, use equal. So let's see. The product, we're multiplying two things. What are we multiplying? A number, the number is y, and 6. So y times 6 is, we put equals, 18. So that's the answer. Y 6 equals 18, or 6y equals 18. Remember, I don't need to put the parentheses when I have a number next to a variable, because when I have a number next to a variable, that automatically means that you are multiplying a number and a variable. That's the answer. They're not asking you how much is the value of y, which we know is 3. 6 times 3 is 18. They're not asking for that. They're asking you to translate. So we translated this sentence into a mathematical sentence using just symbols. Last example. What numbers divided by 5 are less than -1? Alright, so we have to translate that. Let's begin. What numbers, when we use that phrase, we can just replace that with a variable. This time I'm going to choose the traditional x. Divided by, so we're going to divide by, we can use that symbol, 5. So for 5 we're going to use 5. Are less than, so we have to use the less than symbol. This is the less than symbol, and -1. So -1 and 5, we're just going to use them like that. We don't have to change that. We don't have to change those. So here we go. We go x divided by 5. So let me write that down. X divided by 5. What numbers divided by 5 are less than? So we have to put less than -1. And that is the answer. This is the answer. We have translated into symbols, into mathematical symbols, what we had in words. Another way to write this, in a more traditional way, x divided by 5 is less than -1. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this video.